now back to Black Interlude and Warren William.
Next day, Phyllis and I motored out to the mental institution where Paul had been taken. The late Francis X. Blair had a fight on his hands, whether he knew it or not.
For a while, Mr. O'Connell, we thought he was going to recover rapidly, but then he got worse. We've been giving him shock treatments, therapy, the usual correctives for his type of illness, but unfortunately...
We appreciate everything that's been done for him, Doctor. But I do have some rather interesting facts, which I hope may be of benefit in treating him. You see, Doctor, I represented his father legally. For the next hour, I told the doctor what I knew about the strange case of Paul Blair. I told him of a plan I had that might possibly help to restore the young man's reason. It was a gamble, I knew, but it was time to put our cards on the table. It was now or never. After hearing me out, the doctor agreed to my plan. We left without seeing Paul, but in a happier frame of mind. Later that afternoon, I called upon a friend of mine, a radio broadcasting executive. I told him the story.
What you're asking me to do may cost my job, John, but it's worth the chance. Let's see. I've got a spot tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock. We're changing programs. I'll sandwich your show in, but only for one day, mind you.
Believe me, Joe, I appreciate that one day.
But if my switchboard is clogged with an angry mob calling for my neck, you know what you'd better do, don't you?
Yes, I do. I'll start running. At 2:45 the next day, everything was in readiness for the experiment. A radio had been slipped into Paul's room. Phyllis, the doctor, and I stood outside his partly open door, waiting for the moment that was to lift him from his black interlude or to plunge him forever into the half-world of fantasy. Dejectedly, Paul sat in his chair, gazing off into nowhere. He looked forlorn, despondent. Our plan was a shot in the dark, but we were all praying for it to hit the mark. And then, at 3 o'clock...
It's Happy Valley, the story of a disabled war veteran who comes back to his home in Happy Valley and to the girl he left behind. Can a blind hero readjust himself to the ways of normal life? Can he pick up the threads of his old world, yes, his old love, and go on as before? The story of Happy Valley is being reenacted today in towns all over the world. Real, true-to-life stories that have been born in the horror of war. If our Happy Valley can aid in the readjustment of just one disabled veteran, then we feel our cause has been most worthy. And now, to Happy Valley.
Do you see him? Look, he's heard. He's looking at the radio. Oh, pray, Mr. O'Connell, pray.
Folks of Happy Valley, as you all know, we're down here at the station today to welcome back our friend and neighbor, Sergeant John Watson. 5 years ago, he left us to serve his country. He was just a boy then, and now he's coming back, a hero and a man.
Look, Doctor. He's walking over to the radio. He's smiling.
Let's give Johnny a welcome he'll never forget as long as he lives. I don't have to tell you that he won't be able to see us. He can only hear us. We all know that John Watson is blind. All right now, let's let him know we mean what we say.
Paul was listening intently now, almost eagerly. Hands in the pockets of his dressing robe, he was pacing the floor excitedly. Would our desperate gamble work out? It had to.
Welcome home, Sergeant Watson. We're all mighty happy to have you back, and we're proud of what you've done, down to the last man of us. I haven't got the key to the town to offer you. You won't need it. Every home here in Happy Valley is your home, son. Yes, all yours, from now on in.
Thanks a lot. You don't know what this means to me. After being gone 5 years, and 2 of it spent in a hospital. I can't see you, but I feel you, and it's the best feeling I've had in a long, long time.
Oh, Doctor, Mr. O'Connell, look, Paul. He's fallen. Maybe he's...
Turn off the radio, please.
Go on.
Here, Mr. O'Connell, give me a hand. We'll carry him over to the bed. Careful.
Move that pillow, Phyllis.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
There we are. Just leave him here, please. I'll ring for the nurse and we'll attend to him immediately.
Oh, Doctor, maybe we shouldn't have done this.
Well, there's nothing to worry about for the moment, but I'll have to ask both of you to leave now. I'm sorry, Mr. O'Connell, that the experiment didn't work.
I'm sorry, too, Doctor. Probably I let my hopes get the better of me.
I'll let you know later whether or not this afternoon's experiment had any violent reaction. I'm afraid,
Yes,
though, that...
Doctor. I'm afraid that I made a jumble of the whole business. Thank you again. I'll call you later. Our return trip was a bitter one. We'd taken a chance and lost. Instead of shocking Paul out of his mental depression, my idea had caused a complete collapse. As we walked slowly into the Blair apartment...
Excuse me, Mr. O'Connell. Yes?
Is it Mr. O'Connell there? This is Joe Parnell at the radio station. I've been trying to locate him for an hour.
For you, Mr. O'Connell.
Thank you, Phyllis. Hello?
John, where in the world have you been? I've called you everywhere.
I just this moment came back from the hospital.
Well, the switchboard's been swamped all right, just as I was afraid of. Only listen to this. Happy Valley is a smash hit. Hundreds of people have called and wired their congratulations.
Well, I'm happy to hear it, Joe. Only
For heaven's sakes, only what?
that the idea backfired, Joe. Paul Blair heard his show at the hospital and collapsed before it was half over. The shock was too severe. We fear for the very worst. For 3 long, never-ending days, Paul Blair lay unconscious on his bed in the sanatorium. I felt chagrined, angry that I'd permitted myself to take such a desperate chance. I wondered through those long hours of Paul's black interlude whether or not the evil voice of his dead father was reaching him. Had Francis X. Blair achieved his bitter revenge even from the depths of his grave? Phyllis and I waited impatiently to learn the answer.
Yes?
Mrs. Blair, this is Dr. Fry.
Yes, Doctor, what is it? What is it?
Paul regained consciousness about an hour ago. I'm very happy to say he appears to be quite rational. He's asking for you.
Oh, thank you, Doctor, thank you. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Oh, Paul. Paul, darling.
Oh, I heard it, Phyllis. I heard Happy Valley.
Yes, darling.
Oh, it was wonderful. Imagine my show, my first show on the air.
Yes, Paul, I know. Mr. O'Connell and I were here when you heard it. Wasn't it wonderful?
And you'll be happy to know, Paul, that your show is a smash hit. Service organizations everywhere are behind it. It's on the air to stay.
Oh, I must get strong in a hurry. Every day's precious to me now. I've new ideas, new shows. And I have you, Phyllis. I know now that our world's going to be new and beautiful.
Yes, dear.
And I know, too, that Dad finally forgave me. You see, after I heard the show, he stopped laughing. Maybe he heard it, too.
Warren William will be back in just a moment to tell you what the official records say about the probate cause of the Black Interlude. But first, here is a word from our sponsor. Here again is Warren William.
After a protracted hearing, the court decided that the testator, Francis X. Blair, was of unsound mind when he made his will, and his entire estate eventually went to his son, Paul. He, in turn, gave a large part of his inheritance to a disabled veterans clinic. Paul is now a very successful writer and author. Just recently, he and Phyllis left for an extended trip through South America to gather material for a new book he's preparing to write. And about the laugh from the grave, well, frankly, your guess is as good as mine. Did Paul actually hear it? Or was it caused from an oversensitiveness together with a persecution complex? Well, if it's true that love is eternal, why not hate? If the one is possible, why not the other? Yes, why not? Next week, I have a story for you about a last will and a testament that's stranger than any story you've ever read in a book. A pirate and a beautiful girl were shipwrecked on a lonely, deserted island. Unfortunately for him, he was mortally hurt in getting ashore. Because he was possessed of a considerable fortune, and because he felt that he must atone for his past sins, he decided to make a will. But he had no paper, no pencil or ink, and yet he made a written will that found its way back to civilization and the courts. And how did he do it? Well, when you hear the story... The Lady and the Pirate, you'll understand more about it. This is Warren William inviting you to listen again next week.
Is written by Ken Crippin and directed by Albert Ulrich. This is a Teleways feature produced in Hollywood.